Yeah, and then just, yeah. Perfect, no shells.
If you do, a little tip for cracking eggs, everyone says use the side of the bowl with a pointy spot. If you smack it on a flat surface, it'll be a little bit easier to crack. You'll add a little bit of indent in there, get your thumbs in, and voila.
Awesome, no shells at all.
There's a little shell in there, just adds a little bit of crunch to your bread, it'll be all good.
Just wipe it
But if you do want a trick for if you do get a shell in your egg, you just take your half egg shell. You can use that as your little wedge to scrape it out, and it'll scoop it up, and then you can take it out with you.
Nice.
So we have our eggs in there. We're gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract.
Ooh, can I pour it? Yeah, I will do the measuring. You can pour it. 1.5 measuring. So we want this one. And there we go. Yep. And a half.
1.5.
Should I splash you?
Nope.
Okay.
You'll smell like vanilla. It'll be okay.
It smells lovely.
Ooh, it tastes gross.
Okay.
So we have our 2 eggs in. We have our vanilla in. We're now going to add our 1/2 cup of milk.
Okay. Here's the milk.
Does it matter what kind of milk you use?
I'm using whole milk. With baking, more fat, the better I find. It's one thing I did learn throughout the years. Makes for more moist cakes and breads and stuff like that. So I went with a whole. If you're using 2%, it's not going to make much of a difference.
You're not going to mix it much?
You will. Yep. Stop. We're going to whisk all of our wet together, which Emma's going to show you how to do.
I like that.
Smush the egg. Yep.
If you want to, you can. Yep, I'm just gonna pop it in. You can angle your bowl a little bit. It's a nice little pocket. You can get in there and whisk her real good.
And it's bubbly.
It's bubbly.
Good job. Yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So we'll put that aside.
I'll pour that into it. Or can I mix this now?
Yep, we're gonna mix this now. So now we're gonna use spatula.
And mix it.
We're gonna incorporate everything in together, but your butter's in there, so we're gonna have to kind of spatula's a little soft. We'll take our spoon and kind of just smash the butter in a little bit, break it down in little pieces. Yeah, I'll get the butter there, and then you can get back into the mixer. You are the official mixer. So you can kind of just scrape around. I'm just incorporating the butter in to get a little smaller piece. When it bakes, it'll be distributed throughout the loaf nicely. You can mix it. I will not take the mixing away from you. All right, so we have our butter kind of incorporated. Emma's going to take back over to the mixing part. She's a master mixer.
I just like to mix some. I don't want to stir it all.
And while Emma's doing that, we're going to peel and slice our apple. I'll just put you off to the side, Emma, over here. So for our apple, you didn't want to do this part.
Not the peeling, no. Thank you.
We're just going to take the top and bottom off. And then just thumb on the bottom, basically like peeling up a dough. We're just going to run. If you have a peeler, you can use a peeler. We're always trained that use our knives for everything. So we're just taking a thin slice. We don't want to take the good apple out of there. We're using Granny Smith apple tonight. You can use whatever apple is your favorite. Yeah, it all comes down to personal preference.
I love they say
We have our apple peeled. Any little brown spots you can take out.
So I'm making the butter all mixed in.
Perfect.
He's like, do you see any more butter pieces? Oh, I see.
It is looking good.
Emma's looking good.
So then easiest way is just apple in half, apple into a quarter, and then just on an angle, you just cut your core out. some people like Carla may have a fancy device that she gave me years ago in cooking class or bake class that I wasn't allowed to use. And it will core and slice section all your apples, which is quite handy. But apparently they don't want us to know that in school. So we're just gonna cut it.
How much milk was supposed to go in that mixture?
It was
Cup and a half.
cup and a half.
I'm pretty sure.
No.
No.
Oh, no, that was a flour. You're right.
Half cup of milk.
Half a cup of milk.
Thank you.
You
And
bet.
Twig, all
Yeah.
of my baking skills came directly from Mom, who's also
Oh,
here.
I know.
Because I also suck at baking.
All right, so I just took my quarter of apple, cut it into 3 little slices, so yay thick. We're gonna drop it back down. We're basically making a julienne here is what they call a matchstick. And then, so now I have them all in lengths like this. And now I'm gonna spin it sideways again. I'm just gonna cut little, the technical name for this is brunoise. So this is actually a fine brunoise. You can do a medium, large, or you can do rustic, which is just chunky.
Rustic is bold.
So we're just gonna do that with all of our sections. So lengthwise that way, lengthwise this way, spin it. So then we're having a nice little dice. That way every bite will have a little bit of apple in it. So again. When slicing, you'll see my finger go ahead. It just holds the apple in place. As always, fingers back, thumb tucked behind the fingers so we don't incorporate any fingertips into our bread. And one more.
It's Halloween coming up.
Yeah, it could help out with the costume.
Or does this look good?
Sean will take a look in just a second.
How's everyone making out?
Silence might mean good thing, I think.
Well, I guess they're on mute too, aren't they though?
Yeah.
So there we have our nice little brunoise of apple. A thumbs up if everyone's on the same page. We have our wet goods, our dry goods, and now our brunoise apple. Thumbs up if everyone's on the same page.
I'm seeing some thumbs up. That's good. All right.
Okay, so we are going to slowly incorporate our wet mixture. We'll get rid of
With our dry mixture.
that. Yep. So we're going to slowly incorporate the wet mixture into the dry mixture.
You gonna mix? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, you can mix. Try mixing.
Looks like this looks like it's like it looks like it's not even going in.
All right.
This is why it's a family cooking night. You can see you need many hands to make this project work sometimes.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Yep. So we want to scrape our edges too, so we get every little bit of dry good. Oh, Emma can't see, so we need to get a chair. Give her a little head start there. Okay, I'm just going to take back over.
It's a blobby, big blobby. Okay.
Keep mixing.
Grate the sides and
Looks like cinnamon.
Delicious in here.
It smells great.
What are the smells we're getting there? Cinnamon, what else?
Cinnamon and flour.
Wow, perfect.
a little bit of vanilla in there. We used
vanilla,
we
yeah.
used a bourbon Madagascar vanilla, so we kicked her up a little bit.
Mhm.
A funny thing I found out today when I was grabbing my ingredients out of my cupboard, I had a bit of a problem last year, was it? Making bread. And as we were grabbing our supplies, Annalise noticed that her baking powder was expired, which I thought a dry good, it wouldn't expire. So when I went over to my house to get my baking powder, it expired in 2015. So we found out the reason my bread wasn't rising or doing any good is because it was a couple years old in the baking powder. So we learned a little something today.
You learned how often you break bread.
Yep. I got on the pandemic bread making thing and it ended quickly. All right, so as Emma's mixing that, I'm just gonna add in some of the apple. And Emma's gonna keep mixing that together.
Looks so appley.
It is very appley.
Happy and apple. Happy and apple.
Yep, so if you use the side of the spatula, you can kind of go like this, spin the bowl,
See, you pick it all up.
and then flip it into the middle. You can kind of come through this way, this
I'm
way.
an expert.
I know, I'm showing you too, though.
Your job will not be stolen.
All right, there you go. We try not to lick our hands while we're cooking.
I usually do it.
If you're cooking for family, feel free to lick your hands. They frown upon it in the restaurant industry.
Wow, it's looking great. All right. Very good.
Okay, that's all mixed together. So now we are, no, goodness. Now we're just gonna take a little bit of our butter.
Yeah.
I'm just whapping a little bit onto a little bit of paper towel. We're just coating our baking dish. We just want a fine little thin layer in there. There's a little bit of chunk here and there. It won't matter too much.
Could I use cooking spray if I wanted to?
Cooking spray, yep. Cooking spray, olive oils. Butter is just a beautiful thing. So wherever you can add butter, like to add it. All right, so we're all wrapped up.
Greased up?
I think everybody's ovens are ready.
Oh yeah. How's everyone doing? Are we going too quick, too slow? Is everyone's oven up to 350 and gave the little ding and let you know? So.
I saw some thumbs up, so we'll take it as a yes.
Perfect. We're just gonna scoop our.
What was our oven supposed to be at?
350 degrees. I didn't hear any screams, so I'll assume yours is at that.
Can I just get it?
Yeah, in a second.
I know.
Licking the bowl is kind of a thing. For,
Yeah.
You know,
Kids.
You get to lick the
I always
spoon.
did. As a kid, it was the best
I'm
part.
gonna lick the bowl too. Oh my God.
Okay, Amazon dish duty.
Mm.
Is it good? How is it?
So we have our apple bread in there in our pan. If you just take it, give it a couple little smacks down, it just levels it all out. Give it a couple on the edge there. You want a nice even, kind of shake it around. So we want it nice and level all the way across. Just a personal thing here, just.
Oh, the chef edges, they gotta be nice and neat.
We'll spill there. Can't let that happen. Okay, so we're gonna go into our 350-degree oven on the middle rack. We'll set her right in there. Close the oven door and we will, in about an hour, a half hour, we'll check it.
Want to set it, the timer?
Yeah, we'll go official.
So just go timer, 30, timer.
We'll go hours.
And then hit timer again. Nope, hit
Okay.
timer again. There you
All
go.
right, so we're just gonna set our, oh, did I cancel?
I'll do it.
Okay. So we're just gonna set our oven for our timer for 1 hour at 350 degrees. We're gonna let that sit and chill. Then we're gonna start on to the soup. Does everyone have their bread in the oven? We got a thumbs up for that?
Not bread.
Or,
Yeah,
no,
I
yeah,
put
bread. Yeah. Almost threw me off there, Emma.
You're like, what?
So we're gonna start with the soup now.
So what do we have to do first? Can I mix up now?
There won't be much mixing on this one. So we all have our white onion. We're just gonna take the ends off. since we're doing a pureed soup, we don't have to get real fancy with the cutting techniques. We're just gonna peel our skin off.
And can I peel some off?
Yep. Well, Emma does that. Well, Emma's peeling the skin. We're using a Dutch oven, nice thick base one, whatever pot you have. We're just gonna get it heating up right now. This one takes a little bit longer. So I have it at about medium-high heat.
Yeah, medium high.
I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, medium-high, yeah. So we're just getting that slowly warmed up while we peel and slice our onion. So we now have our peeled half onion. No, a little bit more peeling.
I just had to hit the space bar.
So we're just gonna
Let's see how big this onion is.
Same as ours.
go 1/2-inch slices, I'd say. We're gonna spin it. The same thickness, we're gonna come back this way.
And here, can I cut this?
I don't know if we're on knives with you yet.
Oh, my eyes are.
Once you get down to this end where it's kind of hard to slice it, you can flip it over. And then we'll just slice it like that. So we just have a rough chunk basically. So once again, we're just coming this way from core to stem, spinning it sideways. And once I get down to there, I just drop it down. And there is our onion.
And now we are going to do something with them.
Yep.
We're gonna put.
We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. About 3 tablespoons, I'd say. And then a good dollop of butter, probably about 2 tablespoons.
Hear the sizzle?
And there's the sizzle. Yeah. You will be in charge of.
What are you looking for?
Mixing.
Okay. You get this. What's that? Oh, you're crying?
No, it just makes my eyes hurt.
So Emma's just made an observation that the onions are making her eyes water. The older the onions you have, the more you'll cry. I'm 6'6", so my face is far away from the onions, so they don't bother my eyes too much. If you have some swimming goggles and a snorkel or something, you can wear that. It'll help. I've seen saran wrap wrapped around the eyes before. Doesn't really help.
We've all got 3-ply masks everywhere. I'm
Yep,
sure throw
yep.
one of those babies on.
Yeah. So we're just gonna add our butter's melted. We're just gonna drop our onions right in there. You're gonna do some stir. We'll get less cry once. So Emma's just gonna do a little stirring around in there.
Fun?
Yeah.
So what basically we're doing right now is just sweating the onions off. We're gonna make them go a little opaque, a little soft. We're gonna take just a little pinch of salt and add that in. And a little pinch of freshly ground pepper. We're not seasoning the soup right now. We're just developing flavors at the very end after we puree. That's when we'll actually season our soup with our salt and pepper to give it the right kick to it.
Okay.
So as Emma's stirring that.
Can we ask, okay, to start at the beginning again? We missed, we don't have olive oil out on our list, unfortunately. So we lost
Okay.
olive oil, sorry.
Yep. So all we have in it right now is olive oil, a good, probably about 2-3 tablespoons, about 2-3 tablespoons of butter. We've let that heat and melt. And then we just added our onions and we're just stirring them, sauteing them, added a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. And that's where we're at right now.
Okay, did you get all that?
You don't want to touch that, it'll be hot.
The olive oil with a tablespoon. Okay.
The butter and olive oil is, you can go a little heavier, you can go a little lighter. Butter gives the soup that nice silkiness at the end. As I mentioned before, butter is a beautiful thing. It'll add a little bit of velvety kind of silkiness to your soups. So I'll probably be adding more as we go.
Yeah.
All right, so Emma's sauteing that off. We're gonna go over the carrot. We're just going to take their ends off. I've washed my carrot, but I'm leaving the skin on. A lot of produce, I like to leave the skins on mainly because there's lots of nutrients in them and a lot of your flavor is in that skin. So if you haven't washed your carrot, you can just give it a quick little scrub and then we'll be good to go. I'm just going to cut it lengthwise, cut it in half. If you're deciding to make a soup and you don't have a lot of time, the smaller you make your cuts, the quicker the soup will cook. So we're just going to make, we have lots of time because of the bread. So I'm just cutting them into, once again, 1/4 inch pieces, 1/4 inch the other way.
For now, I'm just gonna put this here because I'm just gonna wait a little bit before I mix more.
Oh, okay. Just watch. Can you just give me a little bit of room because I'm a lefty and I got a knife there.
You're a lefty. I never knew you're a lefty.
Yeah. So you should be able to start smelling your onions sauteing away with the butter and goodness going on.
It's Foodland here.
Once again, we're not looking for a precise dice or cut. So I'm just doing a simple rocking my motion with my knife. So you're always holding your end of your knife, excuse me, on the cutting board in a rocking motion. Normally I'd be running it on my finger so I have precision, but seeing we're not looking for anything too precise, I'm just holding it a ways back. So we now have our carrot cut. How are they looking, Em?
Pretty good. They're a little more melting.
Yep. So our onions are kind of becoming opaque now. We're gonna add our carrot to it.
More.
Yep, keep stirring it in.
I'm just gonna eat this alone.
With that?
Just gonna eat this like that.
I don't know. That wouldn't be very tasty.
What's that?
I'll be dead to eat this alone.
It'd be crunchy. I love onions, so. We will just take, we have our sprig of sage. If you really like sage, you can add a little bit more. If you don't fancy sage as much, add a little bit of less. It's a great part of savory. We can play around with our flavors, add to our liking kind of thing. So I'm just going to take the woody stem, the big heavy stem off, put that aside. I'm going to take the whole sage. I'm going to drop it right in there. Yep, you can keep mixing. All right, as Emma does that, look this gently. Perfect. Yeah. It's great because you get to eat. So I was just stirring that around. Come over here, yeah. So I just taken, it calls for about a medium squash. But I've actually just cut it right where it becomes the fat end. All your seeds are in there, so we're just going to cut that off, set that aside for now. I've taken the top off. And we're just going to run down. Now, I have read articles where once again, there is lots of nutrition in the skin and the skin is edible. We're gonna keep it off just to have a smoother, creamier soup. But they are edible in the future. You can add some in, you can use them. It won't change the flavor really too much. It'll just change the texture ever so slightly. So we're just taking a thin slice off. So now we have our nice butternut squash that has been peeled. Then we're just going to chunk the squash up now. We're doing full lengths again. Mine I got about four slices out of. We'll stack them back up. We'll leave the bottom piece over there just to make it easier, so it's not all falling around. Yep. So we have our lengthwise. We've spun it. Now we're just making larger matchsticks. There we go. We're going to spin it once again. Now we just have a large brunoise, I feel almost. So there's the majority of it. Then we'll come back over our other piece. Once again.
Yep. Because it was a hotter side, and sometimes I wait a bit of 10 seconds so that side can get hot.
Yep, and just keep working around, and it's all consistent. You got
Talking
it.
them some stirring techniques on the bottom of the stove.
Emma's explaining to me that she noticed our pot, one section of it is hotter than the other side, so she's maintaining the cooking consistency, and that's why she keeps stirring and make sure it's moving around. We're not burning anything on one side.
So good.
If you do this soup again, we can take it to a different area and we can toss the butternut squash in olive oil, salt, and pepper, and we can bake it at about 400 degrees. You'll get some caramelization, you'll release some of the moisture, and you'll have a more intense butternut squash flavor, a little bit sweeter. You'll be caramelizing the natural sugars. So we have it all diced up. We're gonna bring it over. Oh, watch yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Yep, perfect. Yep, keep stirring around. Yep, get your edges and.
So if I did my pieces smaller, though, it would make the soup just go faster?
Yeah, they'll just cook a lot quicker. Yeah. Technically, a soup is layering flavors, and you kind of want to go low and slow to kind of release them. But a smaller cut, you're still doing the same thing in theory. And then soup. Pardon me. Emma's letting me know if you cut it into smaller pieces, it is also easier to stir than the larger pieces. So if you have little people helping you, keep in mind to maybe cut it on a smaller size to help their tiny arms be able to stir it together. So we now have our squash in the boat. No. Mixing that together nicely. If you find it's cooking too quickly and you're getting a little bit of a burn, as my chef always says, stoves have knobs. You can just turn the heat down a little bit and slow it down. Yep, that's okay. You do want a little bit of caramelization on the bottom of your pan because when we deglaze it with the vegetable stock, it'll pull all that goodness, all that is flavor sticking to the bottom. If it's bright black, that's burned, that's not good. You want to keep it to the brownish kind of consistency. So it's just keeping an eye on your heat, making sure it doesn't burn. So next up, we have, I believe it calls for 4 cloves of garlic. Now, I'm using a friend's garlic who he grew it himself, and this garlic is potent. So depending on your garlic, some has a lot of kick to it. So the 4 cloves is just a guideline. If you love garlic, load her up. Everyone knows their own personal preference. I'm just taking off the tops and bottoms.
Feel the scratch.
We're just going to take our palm, smush it down.
Okay, you need to mix it in.
And by doing this, it just makes it easier to take, well, yeah, your skin, take your skin off. You can also, if you take the tops and bottoms, put them in a mason jar. If you're doing like a large batch, let's say you have a whole family over and you're cooking for 20 people, you need a whole bunch of garlic. You can top and bottom the whole thing, throw all the cloves in a mason jar, put the lid on it, shake it a lot, and all the skins will just fall right off. So a little trick for doing large quantities. So Emma's been keeping an eye on the soup as of making sure we don't burn and it's all mixing together nicely. We're just going to use the 3 cloves actually, because this garlic, like I said, has some kick to it.
Careful, okay?
I'm gonna check every 2 seconds.
Okay.
So now we have our garlic kind of half smashed.
So I'm smashing it.
Yep. We're just gonna rough chop our garlic up. The more surface area, and by surface areas, I mean knife cuts into it, the more flavor you'll extract out of it, and just cooks a little bit nicer. So you see I'm just holding my finger on the end of my knife and then pushing a little bit of pressure, lifting up on the other end, just doing a nice little chop. For anyone who didn't watch the last one, we'll put a little bit over there. I'm just going to throw this in. Now we're coming behind you with the sharp knife.
The bottom.
Yep, we're gonna turn our heat going a little too much, so we're gonna drop it down. Last time, I don't know if everyone was on, so I'm gonna show you if you want a minced garlic. Take a little bit of olive oil. And some coarse salt. You put that over top. So the salt's going to be an abrasive, which then will help kind of crush your garlic down. So what I'm doing is pushing the knife down on a slight angle, holding it tight and pushing away, kind of coming down like this almost. And you just work it over. You can go over it again, depending on how minced you want it. You can get it right into a paste. And then there's a nice quick way of making minced garlic.
Very cool.
You put that into the boat. Coming around with a knife, Emma. You can incorporate that in.
Sean, I can do the next thing now.
We are going to. You're going to have to keep stirring over there. How's everyone making out? We got some thumbs up to make sure everyone's. Any questions? If you have any questions, just hit your unmute and ask away.
So I got a thumbs down over here.
Oh, we got a thumbs down. Who's thumbs down? Is there any questions? We had one thumbs down. I can't see.
I can only see 4 people, so like I can't see everybody
Okay.
at once.
If there is a question, just feel free
You're
to
just going
unmute.
faster than me.
Oh, okay. I'll slow down.
I'm just cutting
Get in
my
the kitchen
squash.
mode, Sean, and I go a little quick, so I'm trying to go slow.
So yeah, let's why don't we take a couple minutes, let people catch up.
Yep.
Maybe get their garlic chopped and things like that. I know that can take a bit of time.
Go have a wine.
Sean, I have a question for you.
Yep.
I just noticed the way you're holding your knife. I've never had my thumb and forefinger up on the blade of the knife like I saw you doing.
Well, like when it was here?
No, back your other hand that's got the handle. You seem to always have your forefinger and your finger actually on the top of the blade.
Oh yeah.
Instead of the handle, maybe.
Oh, yeah. So it gives you a good firm grip. So if
Okay.
you hold back here,
Yeah.
your knife, most of them are round.
Yep.
It has more chance to slip and slide.
Okay.
So I'm basically doing a pinch point, and you're holding right here. A lot of people, you'll get what you call the chef callus. So once you start using if you use your knife a lot, you'll first get a blister there. And then once you power through that, you'll eventually callus it up. It'll get quite tough, the skin there, just because that's what it's holding right on there. So when I'm cutting something, the likeliness of the knife going over would have to fold my wrist. It wouldn't slip back. If you're back here, you have no control.
I like it.
You always want to hold up tight, wrap your finger around, and then chop away. That's why when I first started school, I rushed out excited to go buy knives. I went down to the local knife guy in Ingersoll, said, want a knife set? Give me this one. This one looks neat and fancy and that. He said, you're a student. He said, buy a couple different kinds of knives. He goes, different knives have different weights, different thickness, different handles, different shapes, different steels. He said, buy a couple different knives, get a feel for what you like, and then go out and buy your knives. So he steered me away from buying a knife kit because for my chef's knife, in my previous kit, I had a Hankel, and it was a very heavy Hankel knife, but it's great for chopping. It was a 12-inch chef knife, which is similar to this. This one is one of my favorite knives. It's a shun knife. It's a little bit lighter. It's my workhorse now. Stays sharp. I barely ever have to sharpen this one. Cuts great. So I've been sticking with the shuns. They have a little bit of weight. Another thing is you want a well-balanced knife. So right where you hold it, where the knife meets the blade, you want to be able to hold it like that, and it should be nicely balanced. If not, it can throw things off too. But yeah, the main thing is trying different knives, get your feel for it, and then safety by holding it nice and tight. So I can chop and it'll take my wrist to bend it over. So that's kind of that technique there.
We have one more question, Sean,
Yep.
entered in the chat. And that is, are we going to use the other half of the squash for anything?
So it all depends. So the recipe calls for a medium-sized squash. So mine was a little bit on the larger size, kind of. So I just used the end of it. It'll just make more soup. You might have to adjust it with your vegetable stock. If you use the whole thing, you do find it getting a little bit thicker. You'll just have to add more stock to thin it back out. But you can use the whole thing. What I like to do is I'll skin this or chop this up, and then I'll IQF it, which is individually freezing it on a sheet, and then I'll put it into a Ziploc bag, and then I'll have it for later on down the road.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Are we ready to take on the next step here? I think we are. Hopefully that gives everybody a chance to kind of catch back up. You want to keep stirring as well, as you notice here we're doing.
Always stirring. So next up, we're going to add the apple. Once again, you can use your preference of apple. I'm keeping the skins on because we're going to puree it and you won't even notice them. So I cut it in half, cut it in a quarter, and then cut the core and seeds out. So we're just finding on an apple, you have that little inner circle there. So that's kind of that chewy bit that holds the seeds in. So you want to come right above there, which in most cases is right. Can I get this so I can show it? Right above the little dimple.
Nice.
And then we're just going to just rough chop this up.
Yeah, we're too weird.
And now you're not using a Granny Smith.
Nope, you can use whatever kind you want. We had some apples at our house, but we were getting on the end of their life. So that's why we're using this one. You won't notice too much. It's personal preference again. Or if you have, the good thing with soups is you're using up ingredients. Like when you want to make a soup, is if you have that leftover produce, you can make soups. Like right now in our fridge, we have turnip that's on the end of its life. So we're going to be making turnip soup. We have a whole freezer full because we're entering soup season. So we have carrot soup, potato soup. We'll have turnip soup. We have
sweet potato,
roasted vegetable soup. We had a family dinner for Thanksgiving. All the roasted root vegetable we had left over. End up making that into a soup. So it's just a great way to mix them up. Soup's a great thing. Lots of flavor, nice and warm on a cold winter day.
Is it something
Can we go help your mother stir?
Yes, go stir.
All right, so we have all of our vegetables in the boat. And if you want to come over here with the camera.
Yeah.
So on the bottom, you can kind of see how I was saying we're going to be a little brownish, a little dark brown there. You can kind of see the colors in there. That is going to come off the bottom and give us flavor.
How does it come off the bottom?
Deglazing it. So it's called deglazing. So your hot pan, once we hit it with the liquid.
What did you add there?
This is, oh, sorry, this is the vegetable stock.
Okay.
So actually, I guess, turn, oh, I got this for a second. Thank you. So you can kind of see the stock getting really brown.
Then you just kind of put a
Yeah,
dollop
just to show, yeah, just to show it right now. I believe the recipe calls for 2 cups. So I'm just starting off with a little bit. So I'm scraping the bottoms with my spatula. If you have a spoon, because we want to get all that goodness off the bottom. That's all of our flavor. You can kind of see the stock getting darker. If you're a white wine drinker, deglazing with wine is nice. So add another layer of flavor to your soup. So before, instead of using the vegetable stock, you'd hit it with a quarter cup, half cup of your white wine. Let it start sizzling and bubbling. Start scraping the goodness off the bottom, and then add your chicken stock after. And as it's cooking, you're going to lose all the alcohol out of your wine, and just have the flavors of your wine. So if you want a sweeter soup, you use a sweeter wine. You can kind of mix it up. There we have all deglazed. We're just going to add the rest of our chicken stock. But I think it calls for about 2 cups, depending on how big your squash was, how big your onion was, how big your apple was, is going to dictate your consistency. So I'm just kind of covering to the top. I've kept some of my stock back. We now have a nice little bubble going. I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit.
Now it's closer to about 3/4 of the way to high.
Oh, yeah, 3/4 high now.
Okay.
So what we want to bring it up to a good boil and get it bubbling all over the place. Right now our edges already kind of stirred together to get the heat rolling a little better. So let's let that go. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else in it.
Feels like Kitchen Stadium when you watch the Iron Chef show here.
Sean, can I keep on mixing?
No, we're just gonna let it sit for a minute. Yeah. Yeah, so we're basically up to a boil now.
Soup is on, so which is the question? Soup's still on medium heat. It's actually turned up a bit now, Cindy. Yeah. It's going to be closer between kind of medium and high, halfway between.
Yeah, when you add your room temperature vegetable stock, it'll bring your temp back down. So I'm just giving a little kick in the butt to get her to come back up to a boil again.
Excuse me, Sean.
Yep.
I have a question. The second apple, was it in that mix out?
Yeah, so that's the last thing we added was the apple. So we have one apple in our bread and one apple in our soup.
Okay, so you have added it yet. Now we're at a stage we're not caramelized yet.
Okay.
Taking a little bit longer for us.
Yep, no problem. We're going to slow things down a little bit here. So we'll wait for everyone to catch up. Right now, we're just waiting. We just came to a full boil. So we have it nice and ripping away. We're actually going to drop our heat back down now again to just slightly under medium. And then on goes the lid. So we're going to keep the lid on. That way we maintain our moisture. If you boil a soup or simmer a soup without a lid on it, you're going to evaporate your moisture, which some cases you might want. For this one, we want to keep all the moisture in, so we're going to keep our lid on there, let it slowly go. We're going to check it in about 5 minutes or so, make sure, because once the lid goes on, your temperature goes up. So your slight boil might go up to a full boil, so we'll have to adjust our heat. Because ideally, we just want a slow little simmer. You want a couple bubbles coming up, just kind of percolating in that, and we'll just let it sit and chill there for a bit.
So Sean, I just noticed our bread's about 30 minutes in.
Perfect. Let's take a
test.
Oh, we're looking good.
It's risen. Look at that, getting a nice rise there.
Slide her a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, so our bread's coming along.
A little crack on the top looks good. Awesome.
Okay, so we're just gonna do a little cleanup here. So what we'll do is just get everything ready for our grilled cheese. We won't assemble it yet. Unless people want a grilled cheese while they wait for their soup and bread to cook, we have options. Has anyone tried and took a little sample of the celery bread?
Oh, we did.
We sampled a whole loaf last night and some today. Luckily, we got 3 loaves.
So celery bread, I've honestly never heard of celery bread. Can you tell a little more about why that's the selected bread and like a little bit about it?
All I know is one of my favorites. If you head down to Lake Erie ways, Port Dover specifically area, they do a celery bread there where you can actually order baskets of it. What it'll come out in is about 2-inch by 2-inch cubes. They saute it off in butter and get a crispy. It's like one big crouton, but soft in the center. You'll get an idea of it when we make the grilled cheese because the butter absorbs into the bread. You get a nice thick 1/4-inch crust on it. It's light, flaky, and then it's soft and almost, I don't want to say gooey, but soft and delightful on the inside. So yeah, if you head down to the Port Dover area, I believe other little towns along that area, you'll see it's quite popular down there. A lot of restaurants will sell it. You can buy it with your dinner, and then they have to go. You can take a bunch to go with you. They can have it, so they let you sear it at home and finish it off, or they'll sell it already done. So
well, if you didn't buy celery bread tonight, I think you'll be running to the old bakery cafe this
pick
week
some up.
because holy moly, that sounds good.
Oh, it is just like last night and today. All we did was just sauteed it off in butter,
bread.
crispy on it. Yeah, on all sides.
And Twig.
Yeah.
Twig.
Yeah.
Diane gave us the copycat recipe too
Oh, you can
from the fish fry place in Port Dover. So Kate, I can send you the recipe if you want to share it with people.
Oh,
Diane.
great. So Carla, just say that again. Sean was listening.
I sidetracked.
No.
Yeah. So Papa Pike, his wife, she gifted us the copycat recipe. She's made it for all kinds of guests that come in.
Oh, perfect.
And she says just like the fish place in Port Dover.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I can send it to you, Kate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll send it out to all the participants tonight for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
sounds good. I haven't made it
Perfect.
yet, but Diane said she's made it lots of times.
Perfect. There we
Well,
go.
it sure looks delish.
Yeah. So we'll just cut into it.
Now you're going to use your chef's knife, but
Yeah.
is it better to use a bread knife?
This is a more denser bread.
Yeah.
So the chef knife works actually pretty good, as long as your knife is really, really sharp.
Okay.
If your chef knife isn't sharp, then definitely use a bread knife.
Okay.
Yeah, I use it for everything. So yeah, we're just gonna take the end off. So you can kind of see all the little flecks of celery salt in there, or seed.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a good dense bread. Yeah, you can smush that one.
Can I eat it?
Sure.
Yeah, we can put some butter on it.
Yeah, you guys want to try some?
Yeah.
I almost just spit it there. So.
Yeah. Do you want me to put some butter on for you? I'll just.
So does everyone have their soups on and we bubbling?
Are we ready to? Are you ready? Kind of caught up? You feeling okay?
This afternoon, but I fried it. Is it good? So now it's not fried, but it's still really good.
I'm gonna assume yes because I can't. Okay.
So I just came over and just took a look, and we were at a full boil. So I'm dropping my heat right back down to low. Because we do not, that's too much of a boil. We want to bring it down to just a slight little bubble. So I've dropped my heat right back to low. We're gonna cover it up again. And we'll give it a stir while we have it.
Sure. Sure looking good. Smells good.
So we've added every ingredient for a certain reason, because they all cook different times too. So the onion, we want to saute it off and get it soft, because that's a good flavor. A mirepoix mix on most soup bases is 50% onion, 25% carrot, 25% celery. So that looks like a lot of onion, but it adds a lot of flavor. Then we added our carrot because it takes a long time to cook. Then we went with our squash, it doesn't take as long, and then the apple, it takes no time at all. So that's why we went in that stage there. Now we're just gonna let it all everyone hang out in the pool.
With a hot tub.
Yep. Yeah. So So we're gonna, I like to, with this bread and the technique we're going to do, I'm gonna cook a little bit on the larger side because I want to have a good 1/4 inch thick crust on each side. And then I want it soft on the inside. If you're using other breads, it's all good. Grilled cheese is great any way you have it.
So about an inch thick, I see.
Yep.
Maybe a little bigger.
As evenly as possible.
How's the bread?
Yep. So good.
You guys want to try some?
No, I'm okay. You want to try some now? Okay.
Try
Yeah.
the other side. The other side.
So we have our 2 slices of bread. Oh, actually, I know what I forgot that we can do in the meantime.
Sure.
The time killer. I'm going to show you how to do a quick caramelized onion. I'd probably get shot in most kitchens doing this, but if you're ever in a pinch and you want caramelized onion, this is a nice quick little way of doing them. I just take the tops and bottoms off my red onion. Cut it in half. Woodiness off. Pardon me? No, we're gonna do an ultimate cheat here. So there's 2 ways you can cut an onion. I should tell you that. If I cut the onion this way, let's say if you're doing French onion soup and I cut the onion this way, it'll actually break apart in little sections because the grains will run that way. If you want nice long strings, then you cut it from top to bottom. We're just doing thin little slices.
Checking those fingertips, they're turned back.
Always back. So we just have our sliced onion there. We're just going to kind of separate them all the best we can. Then we're going to take a pan. We're going to add half cup of water. Really, the water doesn't matter. You want at least a half cup. We're going to add our red onion slices to it. And then on the stove at high heat. What we're doing here, it's just a quick caramelized onion. It's not traditional. It can be frowned upon with some dedicated chefs in that. I found it to be quite a handy little hack. So what we're doing here, by adding the water to the red onion, we're going to sweat out all majority of the moisture. And on that high heat, we're going to sweat the moisture of the onion out into the water. And then we're going to evaporate the water out of it. So by the time the water is evaporated, our onion's pretty cooked. Then we're going to hit it with a little bit of butter, a little bit of brown sugar, and we're going to keep sauteing it off. And that basically makes your caramelized onion without waiting 6 hours to caramelize them. So it's just a little hack that we're going to do to add on to our grilled cheese. You can add this to your grilled cheese or you don't have to. It's just a little something I want to throw in.
That's how you make grilled cheese?
No.
Goodness, no.
Caramelized onion.
Hey, you want to say? You're kind of quiet back there.
I'm not really good with the camera, but hello.
Why don't you talk a little about the cheeses we chose tonight to include on the sandwich and why?
So the why is more Chef Sean's.
Well, you can explain the cheese and I'll say why.
But everybody may not have picked an extra mature, but this one is from the store and it's called 1057. It's made in Scotland and it's extra mature cheddar, white. Orange cheddar is usually just flavored with, or just it's colored with annatto, so which makes it orange. So normally cheddar is always white as it is. This one's a nice firm cheese with those little crystalline bits in there, that crunchiness. And it's named 1057 after the last Celtic king that was beheaded, Macbeth. Anyway, I have a hard time remembering the name of it sometimes, so sometimes it helps to know where it came from.
Yep.
Very good.
So I chose it mainly, first off, because it's one of my favorite cheese. For more firmer cheeses, I do like my bries. But the sharpness, sharp flavors will go well with the caramelized onion, and it will balance well with the celery bread. So it won't just be, you'll have a bunch of flavors going on in your mouth opposed to just kind of a monotone kind of grilled cheese, which is still good. I love grilled cheeses either way. And it has a nice melting to it. Cheddars have a nice melting point. They kind of give that goo, a little bit of that string. We're going to cut it a little on the thicker side. So we kind of, when you take that bite, we want a little bit of the cheese string to kind of come down the face a little bit. So you get the whole experience. Our onions are just chilling out over here. Our water's boiling. Our onions are softening. Okay. Well, we can only fix one at a time.
Emily's like,
I'm really concerned about that.
I would
keep
like a
cooking. I will
sandwich.
keep cooking until the bread is gone. We'll have lots. So another thing with grilled cheese, I don't know if you remember our discussion there a long time ago on grilled cheese.
Yes, I always butter the bread.
Yeah.
And Chef Sean says he puts the butter in the pan, and he thought he was very, very right. And then he took a poll on a chef group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Turns out that half of the other chefs also butter the bread.
But not just half.
Oh, okay.
They
put mayo.
Yeah. So we had a discussion, not an argument, discussion, butter in the pan or butter on the bread. I argued that butter in the pan gives you consistent crust all the way around your bread. Buttering the bread can rip your bread. It's a hassle. So yeah, like Annalise said, I threw it onto a chef's page I follow. Has 40,000 members or so. Threw out there, best way to do grilled cheese. To my surprise, a large chunk of them use mayonnaise on their bread. They get a huge crust. I tried it once, didn't fancy it too much, so I'm sticking with my butter in the pan as we're going to demonstrate tonight. Which is a funny little thing on a sandwich that's so, in my mind, was so simple. There was well over 300 comments on this one. Chefs arguing with chefs. There are different ways in that. So it's kind of humorous and interesting to see that a simple sandwich of bread and cheese is a largely argued over sandwich.
Yep.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Something to try anyway.
Yeah.
See
So if you want, try the mayonnaise technique sometime. Like I said, I've done it once. I didn't think the crispiness was like mind-boggling. A lot of people or chefs said ultimate crisp, but try it sometime and we'll see how it goes.
So people really want to know how we're going to not use sliced cheese.
Well, okay. So Annalise brought up what she was telling me, we're not using sliced cheese. I'm using an extremely sharp knife, a little bit thinner. My chef knife's a little on the thinner side, so it will slice this cheddar. This is actually at room temperature, so I might have kicked myself in the bum there. It might not slice as nice. If you keep your cheeses in the fridge, they'll stay firmer better and they'll slice a little bit better. Room temperature, they get a little bit softer, a little bit crumblier. So we will see and test it out. Like I said, this is a super sharp knife. I'm cutting it quite a bit thicker. And a good thing in between, you get a little residue. You can just wipe your knife back off.
About how thick are those? Like
Quarter inch.
Quarter inch?
And you can see it's already crumbling. And so it is very, very fragile. That's why they can't really sell it sliced at the shop. Yeah, so see, it's already coming the further I get in.
Yep.
Which is great. So that's one of the niceness about the cheese. You guys want to try some of the cheese or?
I'm good, thanks.
You want to try some? Do you know what this cheese is like?
Yes. Some old cheese in? A little bit crumbled old cheese? Yeah. That's old cheese.
So the next one is like this.
Our quality tester, Emma, is going to.
How is it? How is it tasting?
Describe the flavor for us, Emma.
It tastes like cheese.
It's like salt. Is it salty or a little bit sour? Or
It's more salty than
sour?
Is it crunchy? You have a little crunchiness to it.
Mm-hmm. How does it rate out of 10?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
9 out of
Okay,
10.
Not bad.
What's your favorite cheese, Emma?
Old cheese.
Old cheese?
Old cheese.
What's your favorite cheese, Annalise?
I like old cheese, but I end up going for soft cheeses most of all.
Yeah.
Just like a nice soft brie, a little bit stinky too.
Chateau de Bourgogne.
Yeah, Chateau de Bourgogne is a good triple cream from France.
Eats
And then
like
blue.
butter.
We love blue with a little bit of honey.
Nice.
All the blues.
I will.
Yum.
And then the raclettes. Raclette's probably my favorite.
Yeah, melting cheese.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Put
had
it
a-
over a little burner. It gets a little melty on there. Put on a nice soft baguette.
I was lucky in university. I had a friend who was Swiss, and her mom would host raclette nights for us. They lived near the university.
Oh, yeah.
And so I didn't know what that was. Yeah.
Yeah. Little boiled potatoes.
Yep. Yeah, it was really fun.
So we're back at the onions here. You can see we've lost a lot of the color in them. They're now opaque on them, most of them. Our water is 3/4 of the way evaporated. We just have a little bit left we're just waiting on. So my thicker cuts aren't as soft, but you get the idea of it. We will look at our soup. So we still have I'm down as low as I can. And we're a bit on the heavier side of a boil, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it and give it a stir every so often just to make sure we're not sticking too bad. All of our ingredients look like they're pretty soft.
Our bread's about 13 minutes away.
Bread's 13 minutes, so we will take a peek at it. Ooh, we have a nice golden color to it.
Looks good, eh? Yeah, me too.
So the recipe does call for 1 hour and 20 minutes. We are cooking 350 degrees on convection, which means the air is circulating throughout the oven. So we'll probably cook off a little bit less time than if you're not using convection. So it comes down to when we think it's ready, we're gonna do this kind of the spring test. So you want to test, push it down and make sure it pops back up. Figure it pops up, more done it is. If you push it down, it doesn't come up, it's not ready. If you push it in, your finger goes right into it, it's definitely nowhere near ready.
What about the toothpick test? Does that also work?
Toothpick works, yep. So you'll stick it in there.
That's what I do.
Stick it in, pull it out. If there's a little bit of gooiness on it, you'll know it's not cooked
Put it
on
back
the
in.
inside. Yeah.
Perfect.
Classic old school way.
Hey,
It works.
nothing wrong with
Nope.
it. I buy extra long toothpicks just to do my.
Just for that. So our water is almost evaporated.
You're cutting some butter there?
A little bit of butter.
Okay.
Yeah. So our water is pretty much evaporated here. We got a little bit in the sides. We're just gonna add a little bit of butter to this.
Probably about what, 2 tablespoons?
Yeah, about that. Yep.
That tablespoon
Yep.
or 2.
Let's let that melt away. And then we'll do
Brown sugar.
brown sugar. So this is caramelized onion is just how it sounds. It's you've caramelized the natural sugars of your onion, which takes hours upon hours to do it, slow and steady. So we're just kind of speeding things up a little bit. We're gonna add 3 tablespoons, 2.5 tablespoons roughly.
Brown sugar.
Yep. We're just gonna stir that around.
Definitely a speedier process.
Yeah. Put a little moisture. I'm actually gonna hit it with a little bit more brown sugar. We're gonna double that in 1, 2, so 5 or 6 teaspoons, tablespoons in total. And we're continually on the high heat, which is a total opposite of how if we were going to do traditional caramelized onions, you'd be on extremely low heat.
Kathy, you just put in some brown sugar, about 5 tablespoons. For anybody who missed that, brown sugar, 5 tablespoons.
So our onions weren't fully, they're still sweating some liquid out. We're just going to keep it on high heat and keep it rolling. Once you add your brown sugar, though, it's not something you really want to walk away from too much because you can burn that brown sugar quite quickly. We just want to give a little bit of caramelize to it, incorporate the butter in. We got quite a bit of moisture that came out.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll let that go. We're safe. Oh, our soup's getting there.
Yummy.
Perfect. So I think we our soup's not far off from.
Emulsification?
Yeah. Okay. So we have our bread cut. We have our cheese cut. Is everyone on that page? We're all thumbs up if everyone's on the.
Has their bread and cheese cut?
So we're just gonna set that aside. I have a little dish. I put optional on there for mayonnaise and Dijon. So this is the optional part. You can leave this out. I'm using a little, to go with the fall theme, a little maple.
Little maple from
Little
a
maple
local,
Dijon.
local provider here.
These Canadian mustards, they have multiple flavors from horseradish to stouts to normal to, yeah.
They're sold at the cheese shop because I've seen them there.
Oh,
Wine
yeah.
and cheese shop.
So we're just gonna take basically a 1-to-1 ratio.
A tablespoon of each or whatever ratio you're going to do, but equal parts.
We're just gonna take a little slathering of that. Coat both sides.
So both
Oh,
insides?
the insides, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing the mayonnaise technique like we talked about earlier.
Right.
This is for the inside.
Give the cheese a little extra kick, boost.
Yeah, Dijon mustards go well with a cheddar and that. They're a stronger flavor, so they hold up well. Give a little bit of cut the creaminess, and we're just making sure we're nice evenly. Just a thin little coat.
That's mayo and Dijon. Yes, somebody just asked me. That's
Yep.
mayo and Dijon mustard,
Dijon mustard, yeah.
and equal parts of each. So you can put 1 tablespoon of each or 2 tablespoons of each, whatever you fancy, and however many sandwiches you're making. How are the onions looking, Sean?
They're looking pretty good. You kind of see our liquid's getting real low now. We just want a little bit more of that moisture to come out. You can see our onions are quite mushy almost, I guess. I don't know if that's the lack of words. The thinner ones are, yeah, a little bit. We're going to want just a little bit longer on that.
Okay. So the bread's ready, the cheese is sliced. Our onions are nearly caramelized here and ready to go. And our soup is looking fantastic.
Got a good bubble going.
Yep, still bubbling away here.
Perfect.
All coming together.
Yeah, so we're pretty good there. We're gonna now take our onions off. We're just gonna set them aside.
Take them off the heat if you haven't yet.
You can do these onions ahead of time.
So you're just draining the moisture out of them.
What are you doing, Sean?
Doing a nice layer on the bread there on top of the mustard mayonnaise mixture.
So it's a thin little, keeping it so the edges, not right to the edges. We want a little bit of room to spare there.
5 minutes on the bread. Sean, I have a question.
Yes.
Are we gonna make our own mac and cheese? Or are we just like cheese?
Are you concerned that you don't want some with caramelized onions?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't have to.
Okay. Well, we'll do this one first, then you can do yours after.
Do we need to check the bread?
No, we just chuck it.
Yeah, we're okay.
So we have our bread with our Dijon mayo, Dijonnaise, I guess if you want to call it, our caramelized onion, our cheese, our bread on top. We are now. We'll get our pan on. We're going to start at high heat just to get our pan warmed up. Then we will slowly drop it down.
This is a cast iron skillet
Yeah,
you're using?
yeah. I use as much cast iron as I can. Consistent cooking, hold heat well. Just classic, I just love them.
Yeah.
Any pan works, so you just have to watch your heats a little bit more.
Perfect.
If anything I can say, if you ever are looking for pots and pans, heavier the bottom, the better the pan. Thin pans, throw them out the door, which we'll be going through our collection. Yeah, heavier the base on your pots and pans, the more even cook you'll have, less you'll burn. Like this soup, you could easily burn it if you had a real flimsy pan. So if you're ever in the shopping for pots and pans, thick base, and you'll be able to tell as soon as you pick them up or even look at them and see they have a nice thick base on the bottom.
I always watch like the Canadian Tire flyer in those places, and they'll go on sale for like $20 down from like $80.
They have the like Legostina set.
Yes,
always,
just watch
watch
the specials. Yep.
So our pan's heating up. We are going to take a nice dollop of butter.
Whew.
Well, we're gonna half that.
Okay.
Half now and half for when we put it.
So 2.5, 3 tablespoons.
Yep, about that.
Okay.
Inch thick, 2.5 inches long. So we're on high heat, but we're actually going to just drop it back to medium high heat.
Sean?
Yep.
We're a little bit behind.
Okay. Yep. We can slow her down. Where are you guys at? Oh, that's me.
We're just trying to finish the caramelized onions, and we're getting ready to put the butter in the pan.
No problem. We'll slow her down here, and not a problem.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm just excited about it.
Well, let me just take a minute here then. And I just want to say, once again, thanks to our sponsors, in case you missed at the beginning, but we have been really fortunate to partner with some great community groups, the Oxford Community Foundation for their providing us the grant money, and we're hoping we get another grant from them this year, fingers crossed, so we can keep doing these great events. But also the Wine and Cheese Shop for really teaching us about the cheeses and providing the great cheese for tonight's sandwich. The Celery Bread from the Old Bakery Cafe, and of course Plumbing Farms for their wide array of squashes. And if you haven't been out there to get pumpkins, they have an amazing array of pumpkins too. And mine are all quirky looking warty pumpkins, which I love. So head on out there as well if you want some fall decor and pumpkins, but tons of squash too. They probably have 7 or 8 varieties of squash out there. So multiple soups you can make with those. All right, how are we doing?
Good. Is everyone caught up? The caramelized onions coming, or I'm just taking the heat. Are we all caught up, or are we still evaporating the moisture out and getting thumbs up? Or I want to take a look and see how doing in action.
We've got a dual action happening here in the kitchen, so we can keep an eye on Sean at all times and an eye on the stove. So I hope you're able to kind of see both my screens going.
All right, we'll just slowly
let's bring it back on.
Going. Yep. So I've just melted the butter. If I'm a few steps ahead, don't worry. We're just going to keep things rolling. You can easily catch up.
Yeah.
Any questions, I'll fire them right back. So we have our butter melted. We are going to take our bread. A little bit more heat.
I honestly say I've never cooked a grilled cheese that was that high.
Oh, no?
I know. That's neat.
It's going to absorb all that butter into there and make it crusty and tasty. And so the bread's a little bit, it's room temp. So I'm just bringing my heat back up. You notice I'm up and down with the heat always. It's never a set. Put it at medium high, set it and forget it kind of thing. So you got to constantly be adjusting it. So you want, I think you may have missed, I did take my pan and just kind of swirl it around, making sure butter coated the whole bottom of the pan. That goes with the consistency of absorption of butter around it to give you that nice crust straight across the board. And this celery bread crusts up beautifully. We will. I am just going to put, our bread's done. I'm just going to put a lid on it just to help, because we are thicker slices of cheese. I'm going to put a lid on just to get a little extra heat in there to help melt the cheese down a little bit. So we're just over medium heat. Our bread just dinged, so we're going to take a look at it.
See it?
Yeah,
Looks perfect.
it really does.
Yeah, so we're see how we can I think they can see that spring back up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna leave it just an extra 5 minutes just to be safe. We have a nice color on the top.
Some more cheese.
Cheese. Yeah.
We're about 5 minutes away, hun. We're gonna be eating.
Some more cheese.
Where's everyone at? We got our soup going. We have our grilled cheese going. How's everyone's bread looking? We have a nice golden color. Does anyone make pancakes? Lots of feedback here. Stir. So you can see in our soup, we've kind of lost a little bit of moisture. So I'm going to add the rest of the stock now.
Now, if you like your soup chunkier.
Yeah, it's all personal preference.
Yeah.
I like I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit now. I like the soup to be a nice, like on the thinner side, I guess you'd say. But it's all personal preference. If you like it nice and thick, have at it, it's not a problem. Once we blitz it again, you're gonna notice it thicken back up. It's gonna absorb a lot of that moisture. So you're gonna adjust it again to see your consistency and where you're at. You give that a stir.
You know, people saying their bread's 5 to 7 minutes away.
From the hour?
From cooking, or from.
Has anyone done the toothpick trick or the spring test just to see?
And if it is, certainly just leave it in. It doesn't matter if you need to take it out right away or not. You're gonna probably eat your sandwich and soup first or whatever.
That's the whole idea. Finishes it up.
Because it'll need to cool for a bit anyway.
So while that goes on.
Spring step test not right there yet. All right, Lyle. Keep it in there.
Keep her going. Long at the time. So for the soup, I prefer the hand mixer. If you are going to use a mixer, on the top of your lid, you'll see a little inner lid that pops out, leaves you with an open hole on the inside of it. Pop that out, take a cloth, fold it up, pour your soup into the mixer, take a cloth, hold it over top lightly, start on low setting, get it mixing on that, and then work your way up on speed. If you take a boiling hot soup, put it in your mixer, put your lid on with that little inner stopper on it, you'll make a soup bomb, and it will blow that lid off, burn you, cover your ceiling. So that's what that little lid is for hot stuff. You pop that off, a cloth so it lets the air come out, but not spit everything everywhere, and you're good that way. So just a little heads up if anyone's going that route.
Blendering. I'm an emulsifier myself. I love the emulsifier.
It's quite handy.
It is.
So we're just going to country style rustic. You just don't blitz it as much, so you'll have a little bit of chunk in there. The longer you blitz it, the creamier it gets. Coming all together pretty good there. We're going to set that down. We're going to check the bottom of our grilled cheese. Oh, we're burning a little bit on the one side, so we're going to spin it around.
Oh, we have a question in the chat there.
Yep.
Can you read that out for me?
Does Chef Sean have any suggestion on what kind of knife sharpener is good for the amateur chef?
A diamond steel, it's called. So you have your normal steel that you run your knife on. and then you'll have what's called a diamond steel. And on your normal steel, it's brown and it has ribs all up it. That's actually just the deburrier knife. If you look on like Amazon, will have them for roughly $50. They're oval and they're actually smooth. Every time you use your knife, run it over your diamond steel, put a few times, dozen times. It'll maintain your knife, keeping it sharper. Other than that, I go to a stone, which you can find once again at any knife shop. I believe it's 4,000 grit on one side and 2,000 on the other side, and that's the old school way of sharpening your knives. But if you get a diamond steel, you'll sharpen your knives maybe twice a year, and it'll maintain it every time. You just run it up and down, or I don't have mine, but if you don't want to do the real quick way, you just set it down. You'll run your knife down, flip it, down, flip it, and you do that every time you use your knives, and it'll keep them sharp.
Cool.
So that's
Thank
my
you.
best tip there.
All right, we're gonna take another look at this grilled cheese. So when the soup now is emulsified, you have it off, or you're still on medium heat?
Yep, we want medium heat. So I'll drop it down just ever so slightly. Because we have to add the coconut.
Okay. That's our next step. So with the soup, everybody, you've got it emulsified. You're gonna add the coconut milk, and our bread's digging at us. I'm gonna pull that out.
Everything's going on now.
Multitasking at its best here.
It smells nice too.
Lovely.
Oh yeah. So we are just going. If you have a cooling rack. If you do have one, yeah. We're just gonna pop it out of the tin, put it on the cooling rack, and we're just gonna let that sit and chill out. So back to the soup. We have our coconut milk. So depending on how much you like the coconut milk will be the degree on how much you want to add in. I'm adding about half a can.
What size is your can there?
It is a mystery.
Couple cups?
400 milliliters, yeah.
Okay. So you're adding about 200 milliliters,
yeah,
or almost a cup.
Yeah, about a cup. 250s in a cup.
Yep. We can shut the oven off.
Yep, yeah. So just stir that in.
It's got a little bit of a nice creamy texture there now to it, and a little lighter color.
Yeah, we're nice. So once again, this is down to your consistency too. I prefer that this is right around the consistency I kind of like. It's not too thick, not too runny. With our oven shut off, we're now just going to throw.
So what does the bottom look like, Sean?
So this is flipped. So that's
right. What does the other side look like?
Oh, it's not even toasty.
Okay, not even toasty.
No color on it yet.
The top is toasty and the bottom's still not toasty yet.
I did forget one little thing. So when you flip it, add your other chunk of butter, your 2 to 3 tablespoons.
So everybody hear that? So before you flip it, and if you have already flipped it, just do hear what Sean's doing. Just pick your sandwich up. You're gonna add another couple of tablespoons of butter. Let that melt down, and then put your sandwich back on there.
And then you can, if your oven's on or off, it won't matter. You can add it in with your bread, or if it's
Want it back on?
no, right off. Let's look at that. Turn that off.
So you won't be working.
Yeah, so we're just finishing off the grilled cheese in the oven because we are using thicker slices. We're gonna let that kind of melt off the cheese a little bit while we finish off our soup. So I'm just giving it another blitz.
No, twink. With the church. I'm doing it, yeah, in person, like online, real, virtual. Yeah, there's about 20 of us, 27 of us. Okay, yeah, fine, goodbye, bye.
Mom, you're not on mute.
I was talking to Sonia.
I figured.
She's doing her liver. Or will be going in to do one.
Okay.
Wow, looking
So
great.
Here's where we'll test it. So we remember at the very beginning, I said we just add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, just to kind of bring the flavors out and stuff like that. So we're gonna try it now.
Yeah, can everyone please mute? Great point. I hear there's some microphone people have on. If they could just turn their mute on, that would be terrific so we can make sure we can hear Sean.
So we just tried it. So now we're gonna season it. So now this is when you season your soups. So this is all personal preference. That was seasoning. You can't really say a teaspoon, a tablespoon. It's pinches, and that's I use a coarse salt. It's just pinches. You'll try it, add a little bit more. Always start with less. You can always add more. If you add too much, you can kind of adjust it with acids.
We're just adding some salt and pepper in there.
Sean,
Yep.
I cut with your knife.
Oh, perfect.
And you have all fingers still intact, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so our soup is lovely. We're just gonna put that right down the low. We'll keep the lid off. We're going to take a peek at our grilled cheese. So we got a nice little color going there. Can't pick it up too much. We're just gonna let that finish a little bit more. We're getting a nice little color. What we're looking for is that caramelized coloring on the bottom. As soon as you put it on that butter, it's absorbing it in there. So then we're just waiting for it to crisp up, get a nice little even coloring.
Okay. What are we using to plate this stuff up here?
That's one thing I did forget. We're going to be using your
All right,
plates.
so we're gonna look in the cupboard there and get some plates.
Okay. Ooh, are these bowls?
Yep.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah, I like them.
I did wonder.
Can I have the first try of everything?
Including the onions on the
No.
cheese? Oh, then I would have said yes.
So for garnish, we have a little bit of sage. If you want, you can take a little bit, put about 1/8 of an inch of olive oil in a pan or a pot. You can pull off the whole leaf of sage. You can drop it in there and fry it, and it'll actually change the texture. Well, it'll change the texture, so it'll be quite crispy and fragile. It'll change the flavor a little bit more mild. It won't be as extreme sagey. We're just gonna roll ours up. We're just gonna do a little chiffonade.
Chiffonade. I was like, what's this technique called? I couldn't remember.
Chiffonade.
I watch a lot of chef shows. I'm a Food Network junkie.
Okay.
Lovely.
So we have a little bit of that. Tonight for our garnishes, we're gonna mix it up. I just brought a little bit of balsamic glaze. We're gonna do a little bit of sage, a little bit of smoked paprika, and then a little bit of roasted garlic, olive oil, just to finish everything off. Take another peek at this.
We're almost there, folks. It's almost dinner time. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. We got a nice crust. It's a little darker on one side. It's not a problem. The joys of cast irons. Our cheese should be getting nice and soft. Got in there a little longer while we plate everything else up. We're gonna turn our soup right off, actually.
Okay, so soup's off, everybody.
So we've seasoned it. We like where we're at. We have our creaminess of our texture we like. We'll grab our bowl.
Ladle in there, yep. Miss Emma, where are you? Get a first taste of some soup here? Yeah, let them garnish and then you're all set.
Good. All the decorations are going on. Oh,
So we're just gonna, 1 second, I'm here, a little space. So we're just gonna garnish it with a little bit of the sage.
Can I come after?
come
First, light. What are you eating now? What you putting on now, Sean?
This is the balsamic glaze. So just balsamic vinegar that's been reduced down. We have just a little bit of roasted garlic oil. Couple driplets of that.
Triplets, it's a very chefy term.
That is a very technical term. And I reserved just a little bit of the coconut too. Coconut milk.
Ooh.
And then just
Into paprika.
into paprika.
So I'm gonna get my photographer over here to take a couple photos before we do anything with that soup. Photographer. All right, that looks beautiful. Look at that design. Fancy. I know our taster's hungry, so I don't want to make her wait. Okay, we pulled out the grilled cheese now. We got a nice slice down
You
the
can hear that nice crunch.
crunchiness. Lovely.
And all this. So see how I have a nice soft, it's kind of gooey. The onions are kind of juicy. We have a nice thick crust you can see along the top.
Ooh, that looks so good.
So it's this over there.
Look how goopy it is. Eh?
I'm not gonna eat that.
No, because the onions. I'm gonna give this girl some space.
Thank you.
There's not much we can garnish with that. If you want a dipping sauce and you have leftover of your Dijonnaise, you can use that to dip in it. We're gonna go old traditional. Actually, we could do this kind of thing.
Oh, there we go. That's nice.
We're done.
Beauty. Let's do it right on the plate. Perfect. Look at that plate. Restaurant worthy right there, my friends.
I don't want to see people's plates.
Yeah, do take a picture of your plates. We'd love to see some pictures. So feel free to do so.
Unpredictable. I don't do well with unpredictable.
How's everyone making out?
Hey, can I see that? Can I see that instruction? Dara, give it to me. I printed it. Yeah, you can take that photo. Onto our.
Thank you.
She's actually at school.
Onto what?
If everybody can just keep those microphones off, that'd be really great for us.
Who wants to taste test the grilled cheese?
White was coconut milk.
It was. The white one.
Okay, everybody, please turn the microphones off if you can. All right, here's the taste tester. Let's see what she thinks.
Who's Ingersoll royalty? Oh, I saw Bill. I actually saw Cold right.
Couldn't get it.
Not like this.
Can you write a note in the chat, please turn their microphones off? Thanks. Okay, thank you. How's it? All right, so how does it taste? Let's give it some feedback. Annalise?
That's really, really good.
Describe the taste for us a bit.
We're getting some sweet. I don't know if I can just.
Salty a little.
What's the consistency like?
Nice and smooth.
Nice and smooth always. Oh, Carla says excellent as always. Good. You're gonna try that grilled cheese. Let's see. Matt, you come try a piece.
The smoked paprika I can really taste. It's really nice. I love the smokiness.
You gonna try some grilled cheese?
Are you gonna have some?
No, I'm gonna be the filmer, watcher.
You don't want it?
No, I'm good. Thanks though.
you sure you don't want to?
Can you make one of those made for no onions?
Let's see. Oh, the chef's taking a bite. Matt, what are you thinking? Delicious.
So good.
Oh, look at this. Everybody's diving in.
That's so good.
Lovely.
That's amazing.
I hope you're all taking bites too and able to kind of enjoy this. I'll turn the camera around for a minute so I don't make everybody uncomfortable while they're eating here. But how's everybody doing? Is it tasting delicious? Excellent. I got some feedback here. Thanks so much, everybody, for that excellent guidance. It's tasting good. Now, where does the bread fit in? When should we have that, Sean?
The bread?
Yeah.
That's for the grilled cheese.
No, the apple bread.
Oh, that's for dessert. Just say no, I did bread. We're gonna slice that up here, right? 2 more bites.
Okay, and the 1057 cheese, I've got some feedback that it is excellent and definitely was the right choice. So good recommendation there, Miss Annalise.
It tastes like a kind of pumpkin or something. Squash.
Well, it should taste like squash. That's good.
A little bit of smokiness.
A little smokiness, good. And is the cheese nice and melty in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you taste the Dijon mayo little in there
A
too?
little bit of sweetness, a little bit of kick. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we're definitely enjoying things around here, and Sean's gonna show us how it's sliced up with this nice bread, and then we're gonna leave you all to dine and enjoy. Yay!
Okay.
All right, we're bringing the bread over to our cutting board here.
Okay, here's the test.
Oh yeah, isn't
Nice
that
and
looking
moist.
great? Look at the little apple in there.
Oh, shoot.
Wrapping?
Did you get for not using a bread knife? That's all I'm gonna say.
Means it's nice, crumbly.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Most times you let your bread cool a little more after baking it, but everybody says thanks so much. It tastes delicious. Delicious. Thanks, Lindsay, for the feedback. Hope you're happy. Oh, look at that nice bread. And what did you do on top, Sean?
Just a little bit of whipped
Whoa,
cream.
delectable whipped cream. Look at that. Fancy.
That's a little bit of whipped cream. I put way more before that.
Well, we know you.
Yeah, so who wants to try it? Oh, yeah. In a second there. If you want to garnish, you could even.
Leave it there and let it cool.
Sean, you know what I like about cooking?
Oh, a little brown sugar garnish.
Sean, the best part about cooking is when you can actually try if your food's good or not.
If it's
Yeah.
I want to eat too.
Awesome. Who's our taste tester for the bread? That's right over there beside the dishwasher. Yep. All right, we're gonna let Emma taste test the bread, and then we're gonna say our final thank yous and goodbye, and let you all go enjoy your lovely dinners.
Make sure you.
So a little whipped cream in the bread there.
So good.
All right. So thanks again, Sean. Do you want to say a few words to kind of close things off?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming out and having fun cooking with me. It's always a great time. Thank you for allowing me back into your lovely kitchen and home.
You bet.
Yeah, it's always enjoyment getting to cook for everyone. Everyone enjoyed it. Good old classic grilled cheese and then soup. Can't beat it on a coolish rainy day like today too. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming out.
Awesome. So everybody, once again, just want to say a huge thank you. This has been an amazing night. Look at this kitchen. We have had so much fun here, and it's a giant, big mess of food and deliciousness that we get to enjoy. Thank you again to all our partners, our sponsors, all of you for coming out and taking part, and certainly go and enjoy this wonderful meal. So thanks from the Community Connections team and everybody else. What a turnout, what a wonderful night, and what a delicious meal. Bye.